All righty, people.
Come on.
This is honestly, I don't think what any of us really anticipated was going to be the vibes heading into Monday Night Football. If you have Christian McCaffrey, I am oh so sorry. I have him in one or two leagues myself,
Yeah,
and
that's literally what I'm doing right now.
those are waiver leagues, so I don't really have an alternate option. And let's be honest, if you were playing week one, all indications were it felt like 70-80% chance that he was going to play.
Well, I mean, on Sunday, if you watch the NFL morning show, you see like Jake Glazer, I don't know if you guys watch that, but I like to watch it sometimes. And he was like, CMC's in, like confirmed. He said he was going to play. CMC should play. I think that just gave you more confirmation that you felt comfortable to start him. And now either he was warmed up, tweaked it, or he was like, you know what, I'm just not 100%. I don't even want to go in.
Yes.
It just throws everything off.
Not good at all. So obviously we will do our best to help you through this. But yes, the big surprise of the night, maybe the biggest surprise injuries-wise of the year so far. Big surprise, no Christian McCaffrey. He is inactive tonight versus the Jets. He's been dealing with that calf Achilles injury, but he's been dealing with that throughout camp, and indications were that he was going to play. So this is obviously a big surprise for a lot of you out there. We're going to try and digest it together. Let's just start off here. If you're in a position where you can pick up freely from the waiver wire, you're not in a waiver priority type of format, then there are a couple break glass names that you can add. Let's talk about those break glass names. To me, the number one ad, if you're going to go, and try and find, is going to be Jordan Mason. However, I would say Jordan Mason is probably rostered in most 12-man leagues. In a 12-man league, I think he'd be rostered about 80% of the time, if not more. So I doubt that Jordan Mason is actually available for most of you. I'm so sorry, but that is the number one option. If he is not available, in my opinion, we should be trying for Juwan Jennings. And again, we are throwing shit at the wall here. But with Juwan Jennings, what's the reason to roster him? Well, because Brandon Ayuk, we have been told he might be on a snap count. He might not get his full workload. And if that's the case, Juwan Jennings really is like your last break glass option to just throw in your flex and just hope that he gets more work than you anticipate. We have talked about Kyle Juszczyk. Look, I can't tell you how the night's going to go. But a guy who, had 0 touchdowns last year, 5 carries, it's tough. It's tough to put that guy in your lineup. So,
no question. I mean, look, if there's probably no options for you right now. Jordan Mason's on waiver wires. You probably have CMC at that running back position. And yeah, you could pick up Juwan Jennings, but you probably can't start him. So I think that's kind of where I pivot to, where I think of people that have CMC, because you probably don't have him in your flex. Obviously,
well, I don't think you can play a fullback in your flex, can you? Or in your running back spot?
Honestly,
well, here's the deal. If you guys didn't put Christian McCaffrey
idea.
in your flex, you didn't listen to us the entire week. We tried to encourage you guys to put him in your flex in case this happened. You know what? Styles makes a very good point here, though. Let's I didn't even think to look at the Jets. So, are you saying you'd start Juszczyk over Juwan Jennings?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I'm not saying that. I'm just talking about people that probably thought that CMC was going to start because of all the news throughout the week. They probably had him at the running back position. Because yes, you're right. We did encourage people to put him in the flex, but if you didn't do that, these are probably your best options. And even on the other side of the ball there with Braylon Allen, you probably just throw him in.
Why don't we rank? Now that we also understand that the Jets are an option. I don't know why I didn't think about that. Let's rank the best options from top to bottom. To me, number one would be Jordan Mason. If you can get Jordan Mason, that's the number one option. He'll be the starting running back for the Niners. For most of you, that's not an option. To me, number two is actually going to be Tyler Conklin. Now that I'm thinking about this, with the New York Jets, the starting tight end for an Aaron Rodgers-led team, there's a lot of question marks around here, but he is the starter at a position that can catch the ball. I think he's a better play than Juwan Jennings, for example, because Juwan Jennings might not have as many opportunities. That's just the reality. He might not be as big of a red zone threat as a name like Tyler Conklin. So to me, it's Jordan Mason, Tyler Conklin, and then I would probably say Would you start Alan Lazard over Juwan Jennings, actually? With Mike Williams being, injured and everything and coming back from that?
I feel like we've seen more success with Juwan Jennings having spur of the moment games. I would rather go Juwan Jennings personally.
Okay.
But honestly, man, you're throwing a dart at the dark here because you have no idea, especially with Brandon Ayuk being limited. Does Juwan Jennings get a little bit more? Does he get an extra 2 targets that out of the 3 targets that he was going to get already? You know, but I could definitely understand Alan Lazard with a questionable Mike Evans, and if
nobody wants
he's
to
going to
play
be
Alan
limited,
Lazard, right? Nobody wants to play any of these names outside of Jordan Mason. So again, in order, what we would prefer is Jordan Mason. After Jordan Mason, it's Tyler Conklin. After Tyler Conklin, I think it's a tie between Alan Lazard, who I'd prefer over Juwan Jennings. But again, you're really just throwing shit at the wall here. Yeah. And then I would say Braylon Allen, and then Kyle Juszczyk. Kyle would be my absolute last option personally.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah, once again, if you have CMC at that running back position, you probably are limited to a couple of different options, which is either Kyle Juszczyk or Braylon Allen, which is not exciting whatsoever. And look, no one was expecting this. That's the biggest thing, which is unfortunate, especially in week 1. You drafted CMC with the 101 or the 102 in your drafts, and all obviously questionable coming into the week, and then getting the green light that he was going to be the guy and playing on Monday night. And now last minute, he is not playing. He kind of Fs a lot of people in fantasy this week.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
I imagine we're going to get this question a lot. So I'm just going to put this in the chat consistently as we go. But all right, guys, we are going to answer your questions here. You can ask any question that your heart desires. Whatever question you want, we can talk about it. It can be about Monday Night Football. It can be about week 2. It can be waivers. It can be a trade question. Whatever you want to ask us, you absolutely can. We are here to help as much as we possibly can help. Obviously, understanding that it is a little bit last minute, unfortunately, for some of you guys making these decisions. Joel did drop a super chat. Guys, super chats will get prioritized in today's stream. He says 0-1. Just kidding, brother. So, yeah, this is the only league I'm going to lose because of this situation. But unfortunately, in this $10 quickie that we had, I was pretty confident I had a chance to win, but now with Christian McCaffrey out in this lineup, we are definitely not going to win. We have no other option, and it's a waiver league where everyone is locked. So GG's in the chat.
GG's, brother. GG's. Appreciate you though, Joe.
Yes. All right, let's start from the top here. The first question is from Trent. He just says Cooper Kupp is back. Yes, sir. Frank says, I'm rolling with James Conner rest of season, or should we trade high? Yeah, I think you can roll with him, and as long as he's healthy, he's going to be a great play.
Brother, he got so many. I think it was James Conner run, James Conner dump off, the first 6 or 7 touches were to James Conner, which was crazy.
I know, absolutely crazy. Should I panic about Amon-Ra or Deontay? Also lost by 0.5 points in a PPR league because Amon-Ra did not so hot. No, don't panic on Amon-Ra. If any of you guys have Amon-Ra St. Brown, definitely do not panic on Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is going to be okay. You know what? I actually would love to just calm everybody in the chat if I could for a second. This is not uncommon in week 1, guys. Week 1 not going well and not going the way we wanted it to is not uncommon. Here's a couple reasons why you should just woosah a little bit, okay? Reason number one is we saw this last year, okay? Last year, things didn't go as planned. Why? Week 1 of 2023, Mac Jones was your quarterback 2 overall. Tyler Algier was your RB4, and everyone was freaking out about Bijan Robinson. Rashawn Johnson was your RB8. Joshua Kelly was a top 12 running back, right? And we had people who were picking him up thinking he was a league winner. Jacoby Myers was your wide receiver 3, and everyone said, oh my God, Devontae Adams it's done. It's done. No, Devontae Adams still finished top 12. Kendrick Bourne was a wide receiver 5. It didn't matter. Hey, Hunter Henry was a tight end 1. It didn't matter. Hayden Hurst was a tight end 2. It didn't matter. So, yes, it's okay to adjust expectations, but to anybody out there who is making drastic moves and you're like, I have to trade away Amon-Ra. I have to get Kelsey and Andrews and Kincaid and all these tight ends off my team. Calm down. All right, calm down. It's going to be okay. It's not uncommon for week 1 to not go the way we wanted it to. And here's another little bit of confidence. So many great people in our industry are pointing out how weird week 1 was. Steve Palozzo, I'm saying that wrong, but he's great from PFF, I believe, or maybe he's with 33rd now. I don't know. But he says
he was with PSF for a while.
Yeah, he says, unless the Jets and 49ers combined for 672 passing yards, week 1 of 2024 has the lowest passing yard output since 2010. Okay, so this was a weird week in general. All right, I know we all just have this micro lens of our team, and wait, my team didn't do well. This is a problem with my team. No, this is a problem with the entire NFL. The entire NFL was drunk this year. Okay, it wasn't just your team. So just wanted to, I guess, help people, you know, with just a little calmness, if you will. In fact, I had something bookmarked. Let me see if I can find that, because someone made a really great point here recently. This is another one versus, like, for Mark Andrews owners out there. It is not uncommon for Mark Andrews to do terrible versus the Kansas City Chiefs. You can see 6 career games. He hasn't scored over 11 points, and on average, he's around like 5 points. So that's not uncommon versus the Chiefs. Let's see. I was trying to see if there was any other good information for you guys, but overall, basically what I'm trying to tell y'all is don't freak out. All right, it's just week 1. Okay, plenty of players that did bad this week are gonna go off next week. It's just no one's in the groove yet. Let them get into their groove first.
I completely agree there with you. Swishy says my running backs is Rico Dowdle. Anyone should I pick up to start? Instead, it depends on who's available.
Who's available, brother? You got to tell us that. Sarah says there are no trades in my league. Should I bench DeAndre Swift for Madison or Eckler? No, I'd still start Swift.
Agreed. Jorge start 4 and a 2 wide receiver. Flex Monte, Ramondre, Olave, Neighbors. That's a great question. For me, this will be Ramondre. I mean, that's not Ramondre. It would most likely be Olave and Neighbors. But, I mean, Ramondre had a phenomenal week this year. Same thing with I mean, the guys that you should start in Olave and Neighbors feel less comfortable than starting the running backs. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
As I'll say is I'm doing my week 2 rankings today after the Monday Night Football game. I'll have a much better answer then. But at the moment, I think Montgomery and I need to look at matchups. Jorge. I really do. But I can't say a good answer right now. Should we sell high on Ramondre? No, I think I don't think you should, because he is the offense. This is the type of role you wanted. This was the role from 2 years ago where everything went through Ramondre. The targets, the yardage, 20 plus touches type of, you know, option per game in PPR formats. So no.
I agree. Patrick Mahomes, I need 32 points from Kittle and the 49ers defense to win this weekend. Mike Cook, you might be. Hopefully you're all right. Patrick Mahomes said, would you rather have a Doomsday or Jameson Williams to have Rome on my bench, but I might be able to get J-Mo off waiver wire since I probably lost this week. Look, if you can keep Rome on Doomsday and pick up Jameson Williams, that's what I would be doing. I wouldn't be dropping Rome for J-Mo personally. And once again, it is week 1. Maybe J-Mo goes back to getting the 1 or 2 targets, but we saw what we were expecting J-Mo to be from the rip ever since he got into the NFL. So that was pretty exciting and encouraging.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to drop a Dunze. He might go on the IR soon because of that knee issue, so we'll have to monitor that. And if he does, you'll get Williams for free, but got to find a way to keep him. Brian says, what's good, fellas? Start 2 running backs in a flex. ETN, Ramondre, Mostert, Olave, Reed, McConkey. Oh, start 2 running backs in a flex. Man, I got to be honest, guys. I'm not prepared for the start sits for week 2. That's probably sounds so bad as we're sitting here. I'm literally prepping a video right now. Tell
me. For me, I haven't prepped, but I've kind of looked. I'm not like fully done, but I've kind of looked ahead a little bit when I was getting ready for the live stream today. I know we're going to have a lot of questions. Personally, I will be going Ramondre Stevenson, and I will still be going Travis Etienne this week.
So Stevenson is playing the Seahawks.
Yep.
And then Etienne is playing the Browns. I'm not in love with that Browns matchup. But
I'm not in love with it either. But I don't love Olave's matchup. He's playing the Cowboys and Ladd
Yeah.
McConkey, which probably is the best matchup out of all against the Panthers. Um, but I'm just going with the running backs and their workload that I'm getting. And Reed doesn't have Jordan Love.
Yeah, that's fair. DT says, what quarterbacks would you trade that overhauled turd Joe Burrow for in Dynasty? I would not trade Joe Burrow right now, DT. That is a overreaction, and I think you should play it calm, man. I think you should play it calm. We saw this last year,
Yeah.
and then you start putting up 30-point games. Everyone's like, oh yeah, he is still very good. So much controversy in that locker room. T. Higgins wasn't there. Jamar Chase didn't play a full game. We'll be okay. Chattel says, started Cup, Mixon, and Achane, so my leading running back lead is looking pretty good. I have Xavier Worthy on my bench, and I could easily get Drake London for him. Should I try and get more, or will London bounce back? Okay, that's a question where we have to put our conviction to test here. Would you rather have Drake London or Xavier Worthy rest of season? For me, I know I could look like a clown, but I still want Drake London. London. I think they will figure it out over there. The coaching staff has been very vocal about saying, hey, we need to get him more involved. It's not okay for him to be that uninvolved.
Yeah, I'm going Drake London as well. I thought you were setting that up to go Xavier Worthy.
No.
But,
no okey dukes here. By the way, guys, do us a favor, smash that like button. Simple way for you to help this channel grow. Like goal today is 100 likes. With your help, I'm confident we can get there. The numbers say we can get there if everyone hits the like button now. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for watching. Super chats do skip the queue. Also, if you want to prioritize,
Roma Dunze has an MCL sprain. Sorry about that. Just confirmed.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I just heard that. Sorry. Maybe
okay.
I know cases is slow. Continue.
That's all right. And if you guys want to ask a question through our website, I'll put that in there. You can ask at any time. If you ask it right now, we'll answer it live, obviously, as well. Next question in order is, which defense should I try and start, the 49ers or the Jets? Well, if you're in that position, the Jets are just a better defense overall, so they would be the defense that I'm starting.
Agree. Joseph saw a video from Domain, talked about how bad the Colts secondary is, and Nico will likely have a decent amount of low games this year. Should I look at selling him after a 17-point game? No, I'm keeping Nico Collins personally.
Well, it's funny because kind of what I've predicted with this wide receiver room has come true so far, but I don't see a reason to sell Nico Collins based off where you drafted. Love those guys, and obviously they know a lot about the Colts, but I don't see a reason to sell high on him. If you look at the distribution between snaps, clearly it was in favor of guys like Diggs and Nico, but if you look at routes run, it was pretty much across the board dead even. And for Nico to get 8 targets, if I knew he would get 8 targets every week from CJ Stroud, then I would say he has top 5 ceiling. So definitely get the concern, but no, I personally wouldn't sell high on him. But I guess it depends on who you can get. Can you get Waddle and Ramondre Stevenson?
Yeah, I agree. Depends on who you can get.
Come on, bro. Come on, bro. That's a joke. Do you not understand the connection here?
I do. I was going with you. I was saying I do agree. Like, if you can get somebody in a package, sure. But I doubt that is something that you can do. And I want to, at the end of the day, I want to keep Nico Collins. I think this is a great offense. And he was on the field essentially the majority of the time here. I think he's clearly the number 1 wide receiver in my eyes. But yes, I can understand.
Brian Thomas Jr. ladder Deontay for flex week 2. So if we're looking at week 2, we've got Brian Thomas Jr. who faces the Browns, not a very good matchup. You've got Ladd who faces the Panthers, and you got Deontay Johnson who faces the Chargers. I think if I was to make my rankings today, it would be Ladd McConkey here.
Yeah,
in that matchup,
I would agree there. I would agree. I need to see Deontay Johnson in this offense. I mean, I'm a little bit concerned about the Panthers, but I don't know. Maybe the Saints defense is just that good. But yes, I would personally say Ladd McConkey based off the matchup.
Are we dropping Scary Terry? No, I don't think I would. Another cool. I love when I'm on Twitter and I find people who are just super smart, way smarter than me, and they point out really good information. I'm honestly shocked about how little love Jaden Daniels is getting for his start. I don't know. I thought he did way better than any other rookie quarterback. By far, I don't think it was even close. I think he had the most impressive start this week. Now, clearly, I'm wearing a Commander's hat, so take that for what you will. But it's even more impressive when you realize that Jaden Daniels faced 5+ rushers on 47% of his dropbacks, which was the second highest rate in week 1 against Tampa. He was pressured on 38.1% of his dropbacks. His time to throw, 2.35 seconds, the fastest time in week 1. Why is that impressive? Because that maybe gives you a little bit of context as to why the guy couldn't look down the field for a second, okay? So Tampa Bay, we know this. Todd Bowles, we know this. They are blitz heavy, type of defense. So to me, I think you're going to see Scary Terry with much better games. We've already seen Jaden Daniels talk about how he wanted to hit Scary Terry, but there just wasn't an option. So to me, it sounds like he was playing really smart football. And by the way, this team was totally in that game if Cade York could have hit a couple field goals. He missed both of his field goals. We would have been right in that game. So anyway, I'm not going to turn this into a commander sesh, but basically what I'm trying to say is I think Terry's going to be better. Debo or Mason tonight? Debo. We're dropping Chuba Hubbard. I actually think you can drop Chuba personally, but Aki, I think you can move on from him. He did not get the volume.
Not at all.
It was split with
terrible.
Miles.
54% of the snap share. He only had 6 attempts on the ground. Maybe that was because they were down early. They had like 17 points. It was like the middle of the first quarter. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they were down early, so they probably abandoned the run game. I would say if you have a spot, you might want to wait and see what that looks like. But the matchup next week is against the Chargers, and they just held Zamir White down as well. So it's probably not the best option either way. But I agree. It's definitely droppable.
The reason we drafted Chuba Hubbard is if you drafted him, you drafted him because you probably went 0 RB and you thought he'd be a startable asset because last year indicated to us that he was a starter for this team. But if you look at the snap share here, you can see Chuba with 32 snaps, Miles with 22. And then as far as opportunity goes, you have split opportunities across the board, 6 touches to one, 6 touches to the other. Guys, we need 20 touches in a Carolina backfield to like have a startable name there. So, unfortunately, I think you can drop Chuba, but I do still want to hold Jonathan Brooks. All right, we got a super chat from Nick. So Nick's going to skip the queue here. Thanks for the donation, my man.
Appreciate you,
guys.
Man.
Super chats will skip the queue for you. No pressure to do it, but that's how you can get your question at the top. Nick says 10-team Superflex start 9 traded Dell and a 25 1-2 for Gibbs. What are my thoughts?
Superflex trade Dell and 25 first and a second for Gibbs. Thoughts notable: Barkley, Pollard, AJ Brown, Neighbors, Pickens.
What are your thoughts here, brother? I feel like
I would.
It's going to depend on where those first round picks end up.
Yeah. I say this all the time. I feel like if you're going to trade for a running back, obviously Gibbs is a different level. But if you have a 25 first and you're trading for a running back, maybe it's best to wait for the 25 class because of how strong this quarterback class, the running back class is. But I can understand going out and getting Jahmyr Gibbs, who's a top 4 running back in fantasy. I completely understand that. I think you can hopefully get somebody you can probably get a top 15 running back maybe with that first round pick. And that's going to pan out in a couple years, but that's a long haul play, Nick. But I feel like you want to get Gibbs because you probably feel like you have a decent team. Yeah.
10-teamer, I feel like Gibbs is a little bit more of a premium. So overall, I'd say, look, this is pretty even deal. But if that first round pick ends up being top 3, I will not have wanted that trade. So that's just a caveat there. Appreciate the super chat, Nick. He skipped the queue there with that donation. Appreciate you, man. Cameron says, do we think Debo can get 13 points? He definitely can. I can't promise you that he will, but he definitely can. Emmanuel says, so I got my players back, but I traded away Godwin and Devonta Smith for Worthy and Shakir. Was that bad? Well, but Aki, should we talk about Chris Godwin?
We can talk about Chris Godwin. Phenomenal game. I would say this. I wouldn't do this trade before the game.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not a Chris Godwin believer. And he, obviously what Chris Godwin did this past week, I think he finished as a top 10, top 7 wide receiver, over 23 something points. It was 22 points. It was great. So
one of my starts of the week, was super excited to play Godwin. Why? Because he was playing the Commanders and he's back in the slot.
And it's I would just say this. I would love to see what it looks like because you have been saying it's one of the worst matchups or the best matchups for a wide receiver. Mm-hmm. I think next week he plays the Lions. Let's see what he does with the Lions, or does it go back to what I was kind of expecting when this is actually a tougher defense? But
Well,
hey, he looked great. He did look
I
good, and they worked him into this offense, which was good.
And playing out of the slot is where he should be anyway. So, Goblin was one of my most drafted players. Got him in the Flock League, and we're feeling good about it, but it's only week 1. Gucci says, I just picked up Jordan Mason, Isaac Reno from CMC owner that's down by 1 point. Honestly, Gucci, like, that's exactly what you should do. Like, I don't care if that's savage. If your teammate has CMC and Mason's on the waivers, you pick him up. You cock block the out of that guy to get your win. I don't care. It's a dog-eat-dog world.
I completely agree. He probably is at work or something, or wasn't paying attention.
He's probably pissed.
And he's so upset that you did that. I think you've done that to me once before. I forgot with what player.
Oh, yeah.
But you definitely done that to not just me, to multiple people.
Oh, absolutely. I honestly, like, quite frankly, I don't give a fuck. If I can beat you by doing a move like that, I will absolutely do that.
Guys are trading Mason in a second for a first. Did I mess up or nah? No, you got a first for Jordan Mason in a second. Give me that first every single day in Dynasty. Yeah. Drew, I'm a Brees Hall owner and CMC owner has Braylon Allen. Should I trade Jordan Mason for Braylon Allen so we both have our handcuff?
No,
there's no point. I would agree.
No, you already have what you wanted, and a guy who might get more work than the other. Like, you can make that move, but you need to benefit somehow, not just like give him a free out.
Yeah, if you're doing it to give him the out, absolutely not. You're trying to sell high on that player so he can get the win. Don't just sell just because you have good faith and he's probably a really good friend of yours. Yeah, no. Sorry,
this isn't charity. This is, you're a big boy. Put your big boy pants on. And you made a mistake, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. That might sound pretty savage.
No, it's not savage, but it's fantasy football. We get serious here. Ramondre Stevenson, Brian Robinson, JMO for Bijan. Overpay or good sell high on these guys? I would say this. It depends on your starting lineup. At the end of the day, I always want Bijan Robinson, but if you're telling me this is start 11, even then, I don't want to do that for Bijan Robinson in the start 11, though. I feel like I'd rather have Bijan at the end of the day, but give me Bijan. No, don't overthink it.
Hey, we did get a team review. I wanted to quickly get to that. Someone wanted us to review their team. Look, if any of you are ever going to submit a start, sit, a trade question, a team review over on the Flock Fantasy website, we're going to prioritize it because you are prioritizing us. You're helping our channel grow. You're being intentional with, offering us some support in return for our thoughts. So if you want a team review, I'll put a link here in the chat. This is also the same link where you can ask us any start sit questions, where you can ask us any trade question, any question really that you have in general. So we are going to go ahead and look at Joe's team here. So let's go ahead and put this thing going. He says it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, and he's thinking of dropping Deontay for Dobbins. Also consider dropping Spears for Charbonnet, going against Ken Walker next week. Okay. So, he's thinking of dropping Deontay Johnson for Dobbins. He's also considering dropping Spears for Charbonnet going against Ken Walker next week. I don't like the idea of dropping Spears for Charbonnet. That feels like fool's gold there.
I don't like that either. Deontay for Dobbins, it's just really hard to say because both of these things feel like could be really short term. I saw what Dobbins did. I think it was great. But with the Raiders that bad, and when he does play a little bit tougher matchups, I think Dobbins is probably a great start going into the Carolina Panthers this week. But I don't want to drop him. If you're telling me Dobbins is available, I want to pick out of these guys. I want to pick up J.K. Dobbins over Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah, I agree with that. But are you dropping Deontay to do that?
No. I'm not doing that. Okay. It has to be somebody else, but I can understand why maybe that's the only option, or maybe Deontay Johnson is the worst player that performed in week 1. But if you have the likes of, I don't know, a Tyrone Tracy and Dobbins is there, or if you have, a Demario Douglas on your team, I'm dropping him, or Jalen Polk, maybe I'm dropping him. Like I might be dropping other players than Deontay Johnson for J.K. Dobbins.
Yes. All right, guys, we are reviewing a team here. If you want your team reviewed, I'll put a link in the chat for you. This is just a link to use if you want a team review, if you want a start sit, if you want a trade question. This is a link to use. You'll get prioritized. But let's have a look at Blake's team here. He is ranked 3rd right now in expert consensus rankings on our website, and he is team number 3. So Blake has Jaden Daniels. I love that. Hopefully I was an influence on that, one of my guys this year. He also has Christian McCaffrey, so that is tough, but he has Jordan Mason, so he played it smart. Remember, Badaki, don't handcuff your players because you limit your upside. That's what we heard all offseason when we were telling people to handcuff certain names. Wait a second. No, that can't be true. You limited your upside. Wait, no, you were a smart player. Now you probably won't lose in week 1. Congratulations. We got Justin Jefferson, Jalen Waddle, Adams, and Tank Dell, as well as Deontay Johnson. That's a pretty solid-ass squad there. And then at tight end, you have Likely, so that's great. You probably started Goddard this week, though. So in a start 7-10 team, your start 7 is probably Daniels, McCaffrey, Najee. You then got Jefferson, Waddle, and you're probably flexing Devontae Adams. And then at tight end, you're probably going to start Likely moving forward. This is a very good squad.
This is a great team. I just want to say this before we continue. If there's anyone you're dropping here, in my opinion, is Taysom Hill.
Okay.
That's for me. If you want to go pick up J.K. Dobbins, drop Taysom Hill. If you want to go pick up Zach Charbonnet, it's Taysom Hill. That is the only player on this team that I am dropping to go out and acquire one of those players on the waiver wires. Because I remember for me, I kept saying I wouldn't be starting Taysom Hill. I would go with Dallas Goedert. I would go another way. Sure. Taysom Hill dropped 5 points. How many times
did he touch the ball, though? I think he touched the ball 8 times. That's interesting to me.
He got targeted twice. I don't know.
He was literally a fingertip away from a receiving touchdown in the back of the end zone. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
He's millimeters away from him being one of the best tight end starts this entire week. I don't know. I think Goddard is a safer play. Like, to me, if you're going to play Goddard or Hill every week, I'd rather just throw Taysom Hill in there. I honestly would, because I feel like Goddard's like this really like safe 6 to 8 points each week, whereas Taysom Hill has this upside that just Goddard does not possess from a touchdown perspective. So I don't know. Is it crazy to say I'd rather have Taysom?
I also don't think like games like that for the Saints is going to happen every week. Like, they play the Cowboys next week. I don't see that happening. I don't know what the rest of the schedule looks like, but I think we can both agree that the Panthers is probably one of the worst teams right now. And I think anyone can score on them, and everyone feasts. I mean, Jawan Johnson scored a touchdown. Jamal Williams scored a touchdown. I mean, everyone except the people that we wanted scored a touchdown for this team. Like, I don't know. I get what you're saying with the upside. I personally would Taysom Hill would be the first guy I'll move on from.
Yeah, I know. Look, I think it's fair. I just think I would rather play Taysom Hill on a weekly basis than Goddard, just because I feel like you're going to have much more boom games. They're both going to give you duds. We know that. They're both going to give you goose eggs. They're both going to be awful.
I guess.
But I think Taysom Hill has a ceiling that Dallas Goedert just respectfully doesn't have, especially now that Saquon's there. With Saquon there, with obviously A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, and you've got a guy like Jalen Hurts vulturing touchdowns, are you like the 5th or 6th best touchdown option on your team in the red zone? So I don't know.
Yeah,
I'd rather keep Taysom and drop Dallas.
I will say this. There's no point. I guess it's at the end of the day, if Isaiah Likely still has this role, we're going to be starting Isaiah Likely every week. But yes, I can understand the person to drop. For me, it would be Taysom. For Zach, it would be Dallas Goedert. For these other players.
By the way, we are. He said considering dropping Spears for Charbonnet, but I don't even see Tajay Spears on his roster. But if you do still have Tajay Spears, I would not drop him. And just because you're going against Ken Walker next week doesn't mean that you should have Charbonnet on your team. You should have Charbonnet on your team if, like, let's say, I guess Ken Walker is dealing with that injury. But it sounds like it's not serious. That's what they said.
It's not. No, because it's always the same injury. It's the abdominal injury that Ken Walker has played through all of last year. I mean, all of his rookie year. It's always been a specific the same injury. And I think he's just going to be fine to play. But I could be wrong. At the end of the day, once we get new reports, we don't really have that. But I mean, I'm looking at it right now. didn't
Look,
have a
this feels like a very
update.
shallow league, Badaki, because it's 10-man, so it's smaller, and it's a start 7. So in reality, you probably can drop Tajay Spears and pick up Charbonnet if you just want to be a cock block. So I'm actually okay with that now, thinking about how deep your waiver wire is going to be in general. So yeah, the more I think about it, the more with the context of your team, I think that's totally okay. So I'm dropping Dallas Goedert for Dobbins, and I would be comfortable dropping Tajay for Charbonnet, because knowing how small your league is, how wide your waiver wires are, you could pick them up probably if you wanted anyway. So that's something I'm totally okay with.
Yeah, and for me, it's Taysom Hill.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, overall, this is a great team. I think, especially if you get Dobbins, I think that can, and if he continues to get that role, it's someone that you're going to be starting over Javonte Williams and Najee Harris, most likely on a week-to-week basis. Once again, if that role continues for J.K. Dobbins.
If I had to grade this team from an A to an F, I would give this a solid A-. Honestly, the fact that you got CMC, Jefferson, Waddle, Adams all on one team, and you hit on quarterback late, at least right now it looks like you could have with Jaden Daniels and his upside. I think you've done fantastic. I hope I had a part to play in you drafting Daniels, but you should feel very good about this team, and hopefully that helps.
Yep, appreciate you. Thank you so much for this team review. Let us know if you have any other questions. Maybe you are in the chat. I think it's XPC. Oh no, never mind. That's not him. He was just answering a question. Thank you so much, Joe. We did get a super chat on YouTube here, but guys, if you guys want to get your team review, that link is in the description. And that link is in the chat.
It's pinned in the chat. Yeah.
So we appreciate you. But Nick says this was an all-in move for contending team. So hopefully my pick is 10-7 worst. Love you guys. Okay, that was for the trade earlier.
Sense.
Yeah. Okay. To try
I'm totally
and win
okay
now.
with that. Nick, that context is obviously super helpful, so I'm totally okay with that. All right, we got a super chat from Miggs, who's skipping the queue, and he says, traded Etienne, I guess that is, and Ridley for Amon-Ra. I kind of love that if it's a smaller league. I think that's a really, really great idea, and to take advantage of the Amon-Ra owner who's probably panicked right now.
Yeah, completely agree. Thank you so much for that super chat. Guys, we're going to be answering the questions up until kickoff, but if you have any pressing questions, please drop a super chat. If not, we're going in order. The next guy is Paul. Which player is worth more for an ad, Shakira or Tyler Johnson? For me, it's Shakira.
Yeah, I guess. I agree. Did we answer Indy? I would expect Mason to have a 10-point floor and a 20-point ceiling.
Sorry.
That's what I would say. In PPR. Harrison says, should I trade Nick Chubb for Jaden Reed? You should take that trade and get Jaden Reed instantly. Yes.
Completely agree.
Got you, Donald. No worries, brother. Zach says, Kittle, bigger night without CMC. Oh, God, I hope not. I'm facing him.
I think he definitely can, especially with Brandon Ayuk potentially having a limited workload. So I think Kittle definitely can.
Oh no.
I think we answered Nate's question in the flex bar. Brian Thomas, Lama.
I have a 34-point lead right now, by the way, and the only thing left in our matchup is George Kittle for Tommy in our one quarterback home league. I really need George Kittle not to have one of his crazy games.
His games.
Nate says flex spot this week. Brian we answered that one already.
Yeah, we answered this one. I think it's Christina. So when does week 2 start? New beginner here. Week 2 starts next week on Thursday night. Actually, that's when week 2 starts. But stay tuned every single day. We're going to be going live answering all of your start sit questions.
But
Ryder, I was
going to say the mindset starts now. As far as you planning for week 2, it starts now.
100%.
Because waivers are happening. You can make trades, stashes, etc. Stay tuned to the channel.
Yeah, Ryder, I'm in a 16-man league. My guy Puka was hurt. Who should I target with Fab, either on waiver wire or wide receiver? I mean, it just depends on who's available. And that waiver wire video that Zach dropped earlier today is there, so definitely go check that out.
Yeah, and can I just say to everyone who hasn't seen the waiver video just yet, I think it, like, this week more than any other week 1, it is so important not to spend Fab on the wrong players. I genuinely feel like that is super important to say. And I pretty much break down every one of those players on today's video. So if you haven't had a chance to watch, it's this recent one, 10 must-add waiver wire players. I think there definitely are names that are worth adding. And there are so many names that are fool's gold. Meaning, if you're in a fab league where you have to pay for these guys, I think a lot of you are going to be disappointed by some of these names. So make sure you watch that before your waivers go through.
Yeah. Jane said, "What do I do if I have Zamir White as my RB2? Should I look to trade CD? I wouldn't trade CD, but Zamir White, I'm not loving the way he was being utilized. But
it's bad.
It's terrible.
Because Zamir was a volume play.
A volume play. Yeah.
He's not getting the volume. Yeah. Here's what I will say: in positive game scripts, he will be good. But we thought that would be a neutral game script in Los Angeles, and it wasn't. So
and it wasn't. Yeah.
That's difficult.
I wasn't a big Zamir guy coming in, so I don't really have much of him at all. But yes, I can definitely understand. Can anyone tell me if I should start Brandon Ayuk or Garrett Wilson? It's Garrett Wilson, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on.
You start Garrett Wilson. Been asking around who to trade McLaurin for, and it feels impossible. Yeah, gotta hold.
In general, guys, if you have a player in your team who underperformed week 1, guess what? Someone's gonna try and come to you with a trade, and they want a discount, so it's not gonna work out. Who would you pick up, Bigsby or Justice Hill? I'd pick up Bigsby personally if I had to,
Agreed.
but I'm not dropping any important names on my bench to do so.
Completely agree.
Madison or Chase Brown? Now, you are a Chase Brown guy. I was Team Zach Moss, but it's only week 1, okay?
It is.
We were right and we were wrong on certain things, so it's way too early to say. But my concern this is why I say this, not to victory that, but my concern was the third down work. And we did not see Chase Brown get really any third down work. I don't think they trust him as a pass protector still. That's really concerning to me.
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, I agree with you. For me, in a dynasty, or just in general, I would be going Chase Brown, especially in a dynasty. I think Alexander Mattison benefited from this game script. But if we're thinking about the Raiders being down often like this, maybe Alexander Mattison is the guy to own. But once again, I think Chase Brown's role will continue to grow as the season goes on, and we didn't really see too much. He got 3 targets in the air, and they were down. So
this was the important thing to note for me is this chart right here, which will show you the usage in this backfield. You can see in third down, Zach Moss took 7 out of 9 third down snaps. Chase Brown was only in there 1 time on third down, and this was my concern all offseason, was that he's just not a reliable pass protector. I didn't think they would trust him on third down. Right now, that's the case, but it could change. Like, maybe they're just playing it safe with Zach Moss, and they're going to slowly work Chase Brown in there. It's too early to say, but you know what's the reality, Badaki? If Alexander Mattison didn't catch that touchdown and have that fluke play, which, by the way, we have seen Mattison in the NFL for a long time. He is not some superior talent. He is not someone who you expect to make, a mountain out of a molehill, if you will, volume-wise.
He made a play.
He made a play. And honestly, I think if you're picking up Mattison and expecting big things from him, I think you'll be massively disappointed.
Yeah, I'm going with the better offense. For me, that's Chase Brown, but I understand the concern. Derrick Henry would like to slate this week. I hope so. Best man start 2, Waddle, Worthy, Dobbins, or Devontae. Like Zach said, we haven't really looked into it, but off the top of our head, for me, it would just be Waddle, Devontae without any knowing. But we will have more information in tomorrow's stream, guys. Tomorrow's stream. Gator fan, with Puka out, will you be willing to pick up Tyler Johnson, Winnington, or Demarcus Robinson, or just hold other wide receivers as Myers, Gabe Davis, Kirk Lockett, or T. Higgins? That's a great question. I need to go back and see who was being utilized in the Rams.
So I can answer this one.
Okay.
So here's how I would play it. If Demarcus Robinson's out there, that would be the player I would pick up personally. Demarcus Robinson played 72 out of 78 snaps. He ran 47 routes run out of 51. He had 7 targets. So I think he will be the one to pick up. But I wouldn't be surprised if Tutu gets a little more work. He was great last year in spurts.
Yeah, he was great.
And to me, the biggest pickup is actually Colby Parkinson of any of these guys.
Yeah, I can understand. He saw 5 targets this past week. I mean, that was Demarcus Robinson saw 7. I think for me it'll be Demarcus Robinson, but I can understand Colby Parkinson.
I guess let me clarify. Clearly, I think Demarcus Robinson's the better play, but you can't play him at tight end. We're all freaking out about tight ends. So if you want like a decent floor option at tight end, that's what I mean when I say that with Colby Parkinson. But yeah, I definitely agree with you in the sense of Demarcus is like the better play. Thinking like value wise to your team. we got a super chat from Garrett here. So Garrett's skipping the queue. He says, half PPR, tight end premium, 3 flex team. Dak, Kyron, Javonte, Jamar, Nico, McBride, Flowers, Pickens, Coleman. He says, I'm 0-1. Am I cooked rest of season? No, you're not cooked rest of season. Dak Prescott's going to be in better matchups. Kyron Williams is going to get probably better. Keep in mind, guys, the Lions were the best rush defense, rather, in the NFL last year. They were the toughest matchup. McBride is going to bounce back. Pickens had a good game, honestly. I feel like if you had George Pickens, you should feel great.
He had better than I expected. Should.
So overall, and Keon Coleman looks like the wide receiver 1 in Buffalo. We'll have to monitor that. So no, I wouldn't be panicking, not yet.
No, I think there's a lot of upside guys here, which is exciting. But yes, Keon Coleman was there. Leggett saw a little bit of work as well, and Polk just wasn't doing.
I would be willing to sell Flowers. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I would be willing to sell him. I just don't think those targets are going to be reliable enough on a week-to-week basis, and they're not valuable targets. Like 5 targets for Jameson Williams with the Lions is worth like 12 targets with Zay Flowers in the Ravens. It's just the way they utilize him at the line of scrimmage is not fun. It's almost like JSN in Seattle last year.
The guy I would move over from, by the way, is just Javonte at a point in time where he has a big game. Get him off my team. I don't want him.
Yeah, because right now it's going to be tough to move him.
Yeah, it is right now. Completely agree. But if he has like a 25 game 1 week, see what you can get for him.
I'm with that.
Thank you so much for the super chat. If you guys have any pressing questions, we're going to be live until kickoff. If not, we're going in order. Charles, Braylon Allen, or Isaac Herrero. This is a great question. I'm going Braylon Allen. I don't really have much of a thought process here.
It's purely vibes. Like you can't expect us to have good analysis on this.
I have no idea what to do here.
Purely vibe check. Braylon Allen. Yeah,
maybe Braylon Allen comes in and Breece Hall has a big run. Maybe Breece Hall has a 50-yard run. They want to go fast pace. Braylon Allen gets a handoff. Maybe.
Well, I think I definitely agree. My concern is the Niners backfield could be another name outside of Isaac. Still, we know Braylon's the RB2 in New York, so that's where I would sit. Tyler says, I'm sad to see CMC down, even as a Cowboys fan, but I just got saved in fantasy. That's great. A lot of people's nights just drastically changed with the CMC news. Some people, it's the worst night they've had in fantasy ever. Some people, they won a matchup because of it.
This actually might save your season that CMC doesn't play. So look at it in that perspective.
Yeah.
Maybe. Could be a longer term process. Jimmy T thoughts on JSN was hoping that he would be more involved. I mean, this is a great question. You let me know how you feel. Yeah. So look, I'm not going to be victory lapping at all, but I'm just saying, like, I like Jason. I thought he was going to have a lot more opportunities and a lot more targets. I was a little bit hesitant, but I still drafted him with the value that was coming into this year. But
well, I don't think I've ever heard you be anti-JSN this offseason.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've never been anti-JSN. I said I liked his value this year, though. I think a lot of people were drafting him higher last year.
Yeah. Well, look, here's the good part for JSN. What we really wanted to see was him play more often, and specifically in 2 wide receiver sets. And we saw that. He played 53 out of 67 snaps. For reference, DK played 59. So he was pretty much on par with playing time with DK.
Yeah, he out-snapped Lockett.
He did out-snap Lockett. He ran more routes than Lockett. He ran 1 less route than DK. Unfortunately, it's just one of those times where it just didn't make sense as far as the usage goes. But I definitely see a light at the end of the tunnel for JSN. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe he is just not going to be the important player in fantasy football that we once thought he was. But to me, I think if you take away the targets completely and I just showed you snaps and routes run, I think you would be very, very excited for JSN for the rest of the season. Now, we have to decide what's overreaction, what's an underreaction, but overall, I think the usage itself was very exciting to see, but we have to be obviously very cautious. He is not a name that you can start until those targets come.
Agree here. Javi, I see your team. He said, do I flip Pittman or Worthy for either Etienne, London, Taylor, or Marv? Flip Pittman or Worthy.
If you can turn Xavier Worthy. Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm just saying, I would flip Pittman for the ETN or London still. I would flip either of these guys for any of these guys that you named. That's what I would say.
Sure. Yeah, I'm fine with that. 8-man league though, it's everyone's gonna have a good team. Who won this trade? Kirk for Sutton. Probably. Who would you rather have
I mean,
right
Sutton
now?
saw a lot of targets. I think Christian Kirk will bounce back. For me personally, or at least he's not going to see what he saw, what happened this past week. So I would still go Christian Kirk there.
Yeah, what did Sutton do with 12 targets? He caught 4 of them. Honestly, though, I think I do prefer Sutton just because I do think Kirk's ceiling is severely capped now with Brian Thomas there.
Yeah.
To know that 12 targets is possible for Sutton, I know he didn't do much with them. That's a little more intriguing to me than Kirk. And I think Kirk will have big games, by the way. I think he will. It's just I don't know that it's consistent anymore.
And I think that's why I'm okay with it, because I see the big games coming for Kirk, and I think the games with Sutton could be there, but I see more bigger games with Christian
I'm worried
Kirk.
he's going to be in this category of when do I start him? I don't know. Oh, I sat him. Oh, he went off. I started him. He was terrible. That's what concerns me about Kirk. I just don't know if I think he's going to be in that category soon.
Yeah,
it's tough.
I can understand. We did get a one from Demetrius Asproganis, if I remember correctly. Shout out to you, Demetrius. We appreciate you. He said, rate my team. Quarterback Tua, Burrow, running back Monty Pacheco, McLaughlin, Edwards, Warren, wide receivers Hill,
Rice maybe.
Rice, yeah, Godwin, Coleman, DK, tight end Kittle.
Pretty good.
Yeah, this is a great team.
I'd say this. Don't worry about Burrow. You got Tua there as well in case Burrow doesn't pan out, but I think he will. You got pretty good running backs with Monty and Pacheco. Tyreek Hill and Rice and Godwin in a PPR format is nasty. DK Metcalf is going to recover, and Kittle's a fine option, man. Any week he could be the tight end one.
I completely agree. Great team. Thank you so much for that super chat, man. We really appreciate you.
I give that a solid B plus A minus, bro.
Yeah. All right, if you guys want to skip the queue back to the top here, Manuel, I just got offered Alvin Kamara, James Cook, and Nick Chubb, and Shakir for Jonathan Taylor. My current stars are JT and Singletary, standard scoring. I don't know how you feel about Jonathan Taylor.
It's how I've felt all offseason. I was really concerned about him coming in. It was the
me too.
It was the one player in my running back rankings every month that people said I was way too low on, and it's only week 1. I could totally be wrong. But the reason I was worried about it was twofold. Number one, no targets. He had no targets this week. Why? Because when his quarterback is in trouble, his quarterback is going to run the ball. Why? Because he's the most athletic player maybe we've ever seen in the NFL, certainly at the quarterback position. And the other concern is the goal line work, because we know Richardson's going to vulture.
And he scored a touchdown, which barely saved his day. You drafted Jonathan Taylor in the early second. He got you 10 points. That's a disappointing week. He got 100% of the workload, sure, but still, disappointing week. Like, I personally would rather have the upside in the Alvins, the James, and even the Shakiras. I know it's standard scoring, but I'll give me all those guys.
Knowing that in a negative game script, for the most part, you got 0 targets is really hard to stomach. I'm not going to lie to you. So you're going to have to probably be in positive game scripts where Jonathan Taylor gets 25 carries or something. So this is a player that I was very concerned about. I feel like my concerns were validated this week, and I'm sure the people who hated on me for having him lower my rankings are going to stay quiet. They will not show themselves. They won't show their faces. You guys just comment whatever you want, okay? You stay anonymous, all right? We have to be held accountable for our takes. No, we love you guys. It's just a joke. When I say you guys, it's like the 1% of you. Hey, fellas, crazy week. Yeah, crazy. Zamir or Brian Thomas Jr. and Ridley or Coleman? Well, Brian Thomas Jr. for sure. And Ridley.
Yeah. Don't count Ridley as well.
Go likely over those options.
Agreed.
Jenny.
Andy, happy PR. Jacobs or McConkey for Marlon Harrison Jr. and Trey Benson. Would you make the trade or no? Yeah, can you hear that?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize my phone was connected to my thing. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, I was gonna call.
That's okay. I was just gonna let you know. Happy PR. So Jacobs and Ladd for Marvin and Trey Benson. Would you take the trade? I want Jacobs and Ladd.
Yeah, I want Jacobs and Ladd as well.
Benson is only valuable if a trade happens.
Should I panic about Olave? How do you feel about Chris Olave? I mean, the snaps are there, the routes are there, the targets aren't.
Yeah, no,
I know it was technically it was a positive game script, and he still wasn't getting the opportunity. Everyone else scored a touchdown. It felt like besides him.
Let me ask you: at what point in that game did they need Chris Olave?
Exactly. I agree. I agree.
So, no, I'm not going to freak out. I think the Saints were number one in pre-snap motion, which was good to see. Clint Kubiak effect. I think Olave is probably a buy low. I mean, guys, this is a guy who had 118 targets as a rookie, 138 as a second-year player. He's not going to be a 2-target per game guy. At no point during that game did they ever need him. And by the way, these fluke touchdowns are not going to work versus every other team. They're going to have to make him an important part of the game plan.
Next week he plays the Cowboys, which I'm not confident in, but hey, anything can happen there.
We got a super chat from Demetrios again. He says, finally getting my name right. By the way, it's non-PPR.
Non-PPR is great, especially with the running backs, Monty and Pacheco.
Yeah, that's definitely true. The running backs are great in non-PPR. Kittle is great in non-PPR because he's a big receiving yard guy, not as much for receptions in that offense. Keon Coleman's a better play in non-PPR. DK Metcalf's a better play in non-PPR. I think you're fine, man. I still would give you the same grade.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much for that super chat, brother. We appreciate you. Back to the chop. We're answering questions up until kickoff, which is probably another 10 minutes. So if you have 10 or 15 minutes, or if you have a super chat, please drop it. If not, that's all right. Christina, he says, how do I add to my bench, and what are waiver wires? I'm a new football person. I know nothing and trying to get some good players. How do I know what to do or trade for?
Think of waiver wires as free agents, guys that aren't on a team that you can add to improve your team. Now, in order to do that, you have to drop a player on your team, right? You only have a certain amount of space on your roster. So to add someone from the waiver wire, you have to drop someone from your team. You have to make this decision of, is it worth dropping this player to get this player that's currently free on the waiver wire? Now, if you're in a regular league where it's just priority, the worst team will get the best pick. The best team will get the worst pick. If you're in a fab league where you have money you can spend, then every team gets to spend money and they bet on these free agent players.
Fake money, by the way.
Hopefully
not
that makes
real
sense.
money.
Yeah, fake money. Yeah.
Yeah, fake money. Fab is fake money.
It's like Monopoly. It's fun though.
Fantasy. Yeah. Chef, what's happening? He says, "Sup, everyone? Just want to share. I'm about to win the Superflex match. Congratulations.
I love that.
Papa, he said to Papa. He said, hello, gents. Half PPR, choose one for the flex. I mean, it's Gary Wilson. Don't overthink it. Your boy in a full PPR. Should I start Ayuk or Mason? Ayuk. Don't overthink it. That's what I'll do.
I don't know about that actually.
I'm still going Brandon Ayuk.
I'd start Mason over Ayuk personally.
You start Mason over Ayuk. Okay.
Yeah, and I have.
Well, he
Ayuk.
says in a flex. He says in a flex has Debo. I'm up 23 points. So if you have 23 points and somebody else doesn't have anyone else, or let's say the other team has Aaron Rodgers, and you're in a 6-point passing touchdown. So I feel like, do you go with the safe floor or the high upside?
I'm playing Jordan Mason. We already know Xavier Worthy's going to be limited, and we already know that the running back. I mean, we saw this with Elijah Mitchell. We already know that the running back can score really good points in this offense, regardless. So I'm going to go Jordan Mason there. I just think he's a safer play, but yeah, that's how I will play it.
Xavier Worthy or Marvin Harrison for the flex. For me, this would be Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, I'd still roll Marvin out there.
I need an absolute crazy game from Wilson. Same. I just took CMC out of my DF lineup, and there's Mason now. Can I start Ayuk and Kittle?
Nice.
No,
I think that's just a statement.
Good. Do I drop Trooper or wait it out? We kind of spoke about that earlier. We can drop him. Elliott over Singletary. I want Zeke Elliott over Devin Singletary.
Yeah, the usage was kind of weird for Singletary in those Giants.
I mean, to be fair, as a Giants fan, everything that they were preaching that they were going to do in season, they did the exact opposite. We're gonna throw the ball deep. We're gonna run the ball. They had heavy personnel, which they were running the ball, and Devin Singletary, as a runner, was doing better than what Saquon was doing behind an actual line. Even though now Saquon has a line, basically what I'm trying to say. The offensive line
Trying to be a hater is what you're saying.
No, I'm just saying like the offensive line is not the problem now. It's Daniel Jones.
Right.
Like it's not that. Like until he figures it out, then Devin Singletary feels like you probably can't start him until the offense starts to click.
No.
Until then, I would want Ezekiel Elliott right now.
Christina says, send me to some new beginner podcast because you guys seem like you're doing it for money and don't want to deal with me. What the fuck? We just answered your question. Okay. I mean, what can you do? Just help people. You know, we're okay. Whatever. Here it is. Got offered Chase for Laporta and Ramondre. Would have to pick up a Freiermuth or similar in waivers. Good trade. Got offered Chase for Laporta and Ramondre. Would have to pick up a Freiermuth off waivers.
No, I can't even with it.
I think this really comes down to how big or small your league is, my friend. If you're in a start 7, I'm probably going to keep... Actually, regardless, I think you should keep Laporta here. Ramondre looks like a serious start every week. The crew says you guys literally helped Christina. Yeah, we did. I don't understand. I mean, yeah. Maybe she wasn't patient enough because we had people donating. I don't know. Sorry, guys. If people donate their money, we are going to answer their questions first. It's shocking to me how much we have to say that on our streams. But if people
say that every single time,
if they're going to donate money to hear our opinion, news alert, they're going to get their question answered first. I mean, why wouldn't we? Isaac says, help. I had CMC down 3 points. Mason is gone. Start Braylon or Herindo. This would be Braylon for me, but that's tough, man.
Yeah, this would be Braylon for me as well. I picked up Mason. I'm trying to get CMC owners to give me something. I want him.
Yes.
I want understand.
Hold him hostage.
Exactly. You do that right now. Tyler, out of Malik, James, Connor, Lam McConkey, Rasheed Rice, who would you go with the flex? For me, this would be Richie Rich.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Big Lou says, I lost Nakua in one of my full PPR leagues. I have Palmer, Leggett, and Wandell. Or do I try to get Dort sitting on waivers?
I mean, I think Josh Palmer is going to have a bounce back game. Personally, I think he was on the field more than Lam McConkey, more than Quentin Johnston. I think maybe they just shut him down. He saw 4 targets. I think Josh Palmer will have a better game, personally, especially against the Panthers.
Yeah. Man, Leggett's interesting that he led this team in targets. Wandale is also interesting. He led his team in targets. I think the safest play is Wandale, but I think the upside play is Palmer.
I agree.
CMC is out. Should I start Isaac Herindo or Jacob Coing? Probably Isaac, but that's tough.
Yeah. If you have, I think Jacob Coing can do like special teams, and if you can get points for special teams in your league, maybe. But I agree that is tough. Should I start Mason or Mike Williams, Jordan Mason? Just easy one tonight with CMC. I don't think it's easy. I think it's always a tough match.
Team, yeah. Although I need their defense to go crazy. That'd be nice.
Yeah, we answer your boy Sean. I just reset the thing for me. Okay, Sean, league mate is trying to get Puka from me. My wide receiver core is pretty solid, and I have Cuppy offered London plus Javonte for Puka. Should I try to turn Puka into London plus, or should I just sit tight? I mean, that's a great question. Like, I personally would still rather sit on Puka over London and Javonte. I'm not a big Javonte guy, so I don't want Javonte Williams. Yeah. Unless you can get London for somebody else. Like, is that London and Ramondre? I thought someone was going to give you Ramondre Stevenson after what he just did, or, like.
Yeah.
Let me just remove this guy.
I already did. Don't worry.
Okay. That's what I would say. It has to, the London plus has to be somebody else, and once again, is that Ramondre Stevenson? Not that you can get. Maybe somebody's panicking on Travis Etienne. I want Travis Etienne. What about Brian Robinson? Is that enough for you?
Brian Robinson
James.
looked pretty dominant. But the
Yeah, I like
concern
Brian Robinson.
The concern with Brian is that Jaden Daniels is seriously going to vulture touchdowns this year.
Yeah, I definitely agree. James Conner, I would do it for.
Yeah, London and James Conner would be great.
Yeah, I mean, even Aaron Jones. I'd rather have Aaron Jones.
Come on, talk it up.
Talk it up.
By the way, I
those
just
are
want
some
to
names.
quickly reply to Styles here because Styles DM'd us on the hotline and he had an offer where he could get 2/3 for Jordan Mason in Dynasty. I told him to take it. So that's the context here. Honestly, I don't think you can get more for him. Like, let's be real. If CMC is back and healthy next week, which he should be, then you probably can't get a single third for him, you know? Would you still do that trade if you could get 2/3 for Mason?
I definitely would do that for Mason. No question about it.
Yeah, no, I don't think you panicked, sold or anything. All right, last question here because we do have to wrap up. Presto says for week 2, T. Higgins, Mostert, Zach Moss, or Pickens for a flex.
Week 2, T.
Higgins if he plays, otherwise Pickens.
Yeah.
You know, Zach Moss
I
kind of
agree.
got bailed out. I'm not gonna lie. I told y'all that the Bengals backfield could really bust this week, and they were very close to doing that. The touchdown for Zach Moss drastically saved him.
Yeah, it definitely saved him. But I think the way I envisioned this game was a positive game script for the Bengals. Wasn't expecting
No one thought that
the
was gonna go that way.
Patriots to essentially be winning the game the whole time. So I thought the game script would just be different for Zach Moss, but yes, I did bail him out.
All right, guys, that's it for today. We appreciate y'all big time. Sorry we weren't able to answer everyone's questions. Hey, big shout out to Christina. Big shout out to you. If you guys want your questions answered, even when we are off the stream, I'll put a link in the chat. We'll answer those questions at any time. Thanks for watching the stream, and we'll see you soon. All love.
Love.